Well, here we are once again, another episode of the Rogue Asset Podcast, and I am so excited today. Man, we have in the studio with us none other than Miss Atiyyah NaDirah. Let me tell you, this lady is y'all know what this podcast is about. I keep saying it. It's really about a rogue asset is somebody that is an absolute asset, but they do things their way. They may not always conform to how everyone else wants to do it or how people think it should be done. They generally find their own way, which they consider is the right way, and they win doing it that way. This lady, I've known her for a while. She's like the hustler's hustler, okay? I was telling somebody coming over here, I said, this woman will start out on a day and say, I'm going to make X amount of dollars today, and come up with a plan, a product, and an execution plan, and actually make it happen, okay? One of the best hustlers that I've ever seen. One of the things that I just can't understand, as long as I've known her, I actually expected her to be a billionaire by now. I don't know what the missing ingredient is, but sometimes, like I said, rogue assets do not conform. They don't take crap from people. So sometimes the road traveled is a little bit more bumpy, because, they're not engaging in no baby oil, right? So
I'm not.
So, sometimes it's a little tougher that way. So, Miss Tia.
Hey, Darren.
I just said what I had to say. Tell us a little bit about yourself. We want to hear it from the horse's mouth.
Okay, like Darren said, we've known each other for a while. I am what you would consider a hustler. I like to consider myself like a smart hustler. I prefer the easiest route to something, and I break things down in a way that I feel like I can execute. So I have about 15 years in digital marketing, and I like to call myself community taught now. I don't say I'm self-taught because I learned pretty much everything from the University of YouTube and got my undergrad in Google. So, but due to people sharing their content, I was able to build my own content, then of course put more content out there and show people how I go about making money when I need to make money, and also, just be on social media in general. I've built a bit of a following just finding different ways to make money because capitalism be on my neck. That's why. It's not really optional, but it helps to have a creative mind to kind of figure out problems to everyday solutions. Solutions to everyday problems.
One of the most unique things, I think I've spent probably half of my professional life at this point working with creatives, right? And you're absolutely probably one of the most talented and talently diverse people I've ever come across, because you do a lot of different things well. Okay. And sometimes some of the things you do well, you even kind of play down like you don't even do it. That's not even like on your focal thing anymore. Like you're like an absolute great painter.
Yes.
Right? With the ability to paint anything from regular paintings to murals to whatever. Yeah. It's amazing. So I know these days you're kind of like a social media influencer. You're a digital marketer, creator, visual artist. But where's the painting and all? You know what I mean? How does that come in?
Okay, so being able to paint is a luxury. That's the reality. And you and I discussed this when we first met, that that time is money, and there's only so much you can do with traditional art in a certain amount of time. So what happened with it is, one, I was making good money as a traditional artist, don't get me wrong. I was selling my paintings, doing well, but the issue is I can only make but so much money because I can only only paint during the day or whenever I had the time to do it. So I transitioned into the digital space and the digital art space because once I created one piece of digital art, I could sell that 1 million times. So the cost-benefit analysis just kind of lended me to going to digital art. But even more importantly, once I turned my art, like my creative, the thing that I did for fun for me, into a product for other people, I kind of lost my spark for it. I wasn't as passionate about it. So I kind of told myself that painting is for me now. Like painting is my little asset that I don't add to the hustle. I paint for friends and family. I'd like to give them as gifts. I will do very large scale. I mean, listen, if a corporation wants me to paint a huge mural, I'm not going to turn down 5 figures to do anything. But anything less than that, I make more money from digital art, so there's no point in me stressing trying to create perfect traditional art, when I can spend less time and make more money doing it.
Do you guys peep the hustle? the 5 figures, companies, corporations.
Or 6, I don't mind.
It'll be worth it. It'll be worth the money spent. So, which brings us to the other unique thing that was just on showcase here, right? We just talked about the creative, but did you guys see the business mind interwoven in with the creative? I'm telling you, this lady is serious stuff. Now, before we kind of go ahead, I wanted to also talk about the resilience of our guest today. Unfortunately, we had this scheduled and we actually had to push it back because both her and I were experiencing some things that were dear and personal to us. And I'm not going to get into that right now unless she does. But once again, I'm just going to say that, we are praying for you and your family.
Thank you. And I don't mind sharing. Recently, my grandmother passed away. She was one of the Sapelo 7. If you don't know, I highly recommend looking it up because the cultural history there is very fascinating. But I take every opportunity to mention my grandmother when I can because she was an amazing spirit. Like I said, she was 93 years old. She was on a day trip, one of many. She was a woman full of life. She was very proud of what I'm doing. She was a lifelong teacher, and I feel like she would be so proud to see me up here. So I speak on her every chance I get. And, but yeah, I'm very happy to have had her as my great-grandmother.
Cool. And what's her name?
Her name was Carlotta.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my great-great-grandmother. But she was my children's great-great-grandmother, so she was a 5th generation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, she's with the ancestors, and I'm sure will be a great contributor, to you in spirit as she was.
Absolutely.
When she was here. So, all right. So we're going to kind of move on, talk about some of the things in the world of digital marketing and creative strategies for revenue generation and, just some personal reflections on your success and creativity. So one of the first things, I was actually excited for you recently because I saw that you went viral on something. What happened there? Tell us about that.
Okay, so I already had a pretty large following on TikTok. I have about 217,000 followers on TikTok, and I gained that following through my series, Surviving Poverty, and it's about making money and finding ways to make money from no money. As you know, that was my skill set. If I had $0, I was going to try to figure out how to add some money to that. And I just taught people the different things that I did, and I went viral doing that. But I decided that I wanted to kind of shift my niche away from just teaching people how to make money because I realized that there's also a lot of fun, power, and money to be found in just being relatable and interesting. And I kind of had this relationship with social media where I felt like I always had to be useful before I was willing to create content. It was kind of stifling me. So I deleted all of my viral content prior to this moment and decided I was going to take a shift and I was going to start showing more of my quirky mindset. And one of those things I did was I created a whole family tree of American cities. So I have this feeling that certain cities are like related. So I say that Houston is our little sister, Washington D.C. is our bougie auntie, and I've been saying this for years. It's always an ongoing joke, but I decided to make a video about it. And right now it's at like 3.5 million views on Instagram. It got shared on Shade Room. It got shared by Lil Duval. It just became this huge thing. So now that's kind of like my niche unintentionally.
Right.
But it was really fun because it did get to showcase my more creative side, and it was just.
And what's crazy, it makes sense when you kind of look at it. I feel like Houston and Charlotte are like the little brother and sisters.
Yeah.
And DC was kind of, DC is the bougie, the bougie aunt.
That's what I.
So yeah, creatively that is something. So tell us, what are some of the hottest, latest digital trends that's happening right now?
I would say there's a belief that there has to be some sort of trend happening to go viral, or I feel like social media has been very consistent. You either have to be entertaining or useful. That's the trend. If you're entertaining and or useful, and I've been saying this for years, people are never in the mood to be sold to. They're sometimes in the mood to learn, and they're always in the mood to be entertained. So if you find a way to make entertaining and or useful content, double if you combine the two, to sell your product or to do anything, then you'll make money on social media. But if you go on there with the intent to sell, you will probably waste a lot of money. And so as far as trends, I think the trend is find your niche that you like to talk about, be it real estate or what have you, and have fun in that niche. Literally have fun. Anytime I see like people stress to make the perfect kind of content, the serious stuff, like the video that I have that's at 3 million views, took me 5 minutes to do, even less to edit. So that's what I would say the trend is: fun, useful content.
Did I see where you said that you had the idea for like a long time though, and kind of didn't push the button?
Yeah, no. Well, the thing is, I talk like this. This is things I say to my mother and sister and friends all the time, and we all just laugh at it and relate. But when I decided to shift my social media like niche, I started writing down all the funny things I said. And so I wrote this down months ago where like I was like, oh, I need to do this bit. I need to tell people about, and go down it. But I hadn't committed to it because the unknown side of social media is like, it's very contingent upon your mental health. It's very contingent upon how much time you have. And the reality is, while social media is very fun and it broadens your horizons, you can make so much money doing it. You have to be very disciplined. You have to stay on top of it. You have to, but also stay creative. And if you're trying to stay creative, when you also have to pay bills, like it's like everything can really be hard. So it's like, that's why I was like, well, is it worth it? I had that conversation as well. Is it really going to do anything? Because I can't make money off of this. But that's when I decided, like I said, I'm not going to have that conversation. I'm going to have fun on social media. And that's how we ended up with the video.
Boy, that little piece that you just said about, I think in the real estate community, we really go through that because we already strapped for time.
Yeah.
And then when social media became so dominant, you're talking about what? We have to do what now? And we have to
perform.
Yeah, we have to perform.
Yeah, we have to perform.
Are you serious right now?
And social media has become such a pivotal part of any small business, any sort of entrepreneur, and yeah,
you cannot be without it. You cannot be without it. So we just talked about digital trends. So what about the digital marketing space? What's going on there currently?
I think they're pretty much intertwined. Some people use trends to push their product, but like I said, I think the best thing to do is to remain relatable within your niche. And digital marketing has expanded so much. But the biggest difference, I've been in digital marketing about 15 years, is the consumer is now really savvy. Like the consumer knows when they're being sold to them. They know if you even mention a product that you're probably sponsored by them.
Right.
And so they're less likely to take you serious. That wall comes up where I don't want to buy that. So in my mind, the digital marketing should be focused on how can I build trust with my audience. Once you build trust with your audience, selling to them is no problem. So I think digital marketing has shifted into creating an authentic connection with your audience as opposed to just trying to sell them a product that's useful to them. Because at this point, people really aren't buying products that's useful to them. We've all bought all the things that are useful. We're buying the things that make us feel good. So that's what's honest. So if you're trying to, push the value of your product because it's so much better at this and the other thing, you're going to lose against the person or the brand that has a loyal following. They can be putting out trash. But if it's loyal and it's consistent and it's sparkly, they're going to buy it. So it's like you're really up against that. And the only way to compete against that is to create an authentic audience through digital marketing.
Right. And then I think as we move forward too in that space, isn't it always a challenge of keeping up with the different algorithm changes and methods that influencers actually apply?
Absolutely. And again, I don't also believe in chasing the algorithm, because the algorithm, we don't know. It's an elusive, that algorithm. I believe, have you ever seen, I believe it's the movie The Cube or something like that, where all these people are in a room and they keep moving, but the rooms are moving. So they're like, they should have just stayed where they were. That is what the algorithm is. Stay where you are, do what's working. And there's going to be days and weeks where your content doesn't hit 1,000 views. I have over 200,000 people on TikTok, and my first few videos since changing my niche could not crack 1,000 views. The algorithm is going to decide whether or not you're favored. The goal is to remain consistent. That is the key in social media, not to keep changing your content, anything. Remain consistent. After 2 weeks, if something isn't working, okay, let's try something different, but then do that consistently because the algorithm, it could change every day. We really don't know. Yep. They keep that information to themselves.
And that's the one thing with tech people that I've noticed over the years. They like to just do something to do it. Like, we might not necessarily need it at that time, but hey, they're in like their little creative tech zone, and so they're gonna change it at that time. And there's nothing that that we can do about it. But it's funny. We're kind of having this conversation, and I know I'm in a lot of different rooms with different business leaders, small businesses and large. And one of the conversations, whenever this topic is prevalent, is how can a business go viral on purpose? And my ear normally cocked to that one, because I'm like, if there's an answer to that, I need to hear it. Oh, is that possible? Can you go viral? Can a business go viral on purpose?
Many businesses go viral on purpose. I mean,
in a positive way.
Yeah, many businesses go viral with the intent to go viral. Now, they may have also put out another video 2 days prior that also had the intent to go viral, and it did nothing. So I would say quite often they put out with the intention to go viral. It just doesn't always work. But the times that it does, there is a formula to it. Like I said, being relatable and entertaining, it's just always going to get you there. The question is, how can you be relatable and entertaining? You can be relatable by using current trends. So by using something that's already currently popular. You can be relatable by doing something like I did with the American cities. Like, people are really passionate about their hometowns. You can be really, relatable by sticking to a particular profession. But the goal here is you have to be relating to somebody. And my recommendation is to be talking to one person. Talk to one person anytime you're trying to create a viral video. Try to get one person to laugh. Figure out who that person is. Sometimes businesses call it a client profile. Some of them call it, whatever you have to do, create a little character and try to think, what would get them to crack up? What would get them to have so much fun? Go with that. Make sure the first 3 seconds of your video is something that hooks them. People do not have, matter of fact, the first 2 seconds. Everybody says the first 3 seconds, the first 2 seconds. But make sure that first 2 seconds hooks them, be it a question, be it with something unexpected on the screen, and then make sure the rest is relatable and stick to it. Another good thing is stories. Storytelling will always win. People love a good story. But yeah, you use those combinations, you can go viral. Like, I wouldn't say it's not hard. It's not. It is difficult if you don't know what you're doing, but the system itself is pretty predictable.
Well, I guess that's probably it, because when you're in a room full of business executives and they're not necessarily marketing or in this space,
it's a whole different part of your brain.
Yeah, nobody knows really what they're doing. Everybody's just kind of.
But marketing is now like, it is performative. It's not even just what it was before. Like, it's not just like, oh, okay, before things are on TV, they don't have any choice but to watch my commercial. How do I keep their attention, for this commercial? Now it's like you're competing against streaming platforms. The phone, you're competing against so much to hold somebody's attention through your ad, and they have the option of clicking away. Much more difficult to do. So now you have to be entertaining.
Yeah, I think attention spans have gotten shorter. There's definitely less attention to be divided.
Right. Called the attention economy.
Yeah, with those 24 hours. So it's a whole different ball game right now. I feel like every business is fighting for some kind of attention, and that's 24 hours a day.
That's our most powerful currency right now is attention. Like, that is what all the companies want. That's what all the businesses want. Everybody wants.
That's what even the individuals want.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. Even the social influencers, like, they're like, I just want your attention.
You know, whether they're social influencers, whether they're people that are just dreaming of becoming social influencers. And from what I'm seeing right now, that ranges from everybody from 3 to like 90 something. There's some grannies out there making some interesting videos.
They are, man.
Yeah, grannies are, woo.
They're having a ball.
You know, I'm seeing even some folks in places that, you know, you would consider third world countries, but they have a good camera out in the bush.
I'm telling you.
And you know, they're making some things happen. You know,
because going live is also a really good source of income. So if you can do something entertaining on live long enough, you'll make some money.
Yeah. So as far as people posting, I know I've had conversations with people sometimes, and they may have ideas, but I feel like they overthink the ideas. Do you think they should, you know, just post without thinking, or put some thought into it and post? Should it be a more instinctive process?
I think it should be both. I think you should make most of your videos be just posting for the fun of it. And then out of every 5 videos, one video be something that you're really putting some thought behind. The rest need to be for fun. And the thought drivers are probably going to make you the least money. But that sort of system for me, I have found, is the sweet spot, because you're not thinking too hard. If you ever think about something that is really you're really working on, like for me, when I'm trying to draw something and I'm really trying to make it nice, it is so hard to me. I will try to draw the same earlobe 38 times, but when it's on a scrap piece of like napkin, I draw like a masterpiece.
It just happens.
But it also is good to have some sort of tactical plan behind what you're posting. So I think for every 5 videos, post one that is something thought out, and the rest are just, let's just throw this at the wall and see what works.
Right. Okay. So what are your insights on intentionally going viral versus organic reach?
I think they're one and the same. If you post consistently enough, for instance, you might try to be getting a video with 1 million views, right? Like that might be your goal. But if you post 10 videos that get 100,000 views, it's still 1 million views. The math is still mathing.
Right.
So if you post consistently enough, and you post 20 videos that get 50,000 views, you're still getting to your 1 million views. So it's like everyone's trying to get to that magical one video that's going to get them over 1 million views. But reality is, if you post consistently enough and you build an audience that likes you, you're going to get those same views over time.
And that's the insight that I was kind of looking for, because I think the people that are overthinking is like they're looking at hitting that one home run, right?
You're not
they're analyzing it to death. Like, should I need to do this, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So that definitely summed it up.
And also keep in the bloopers. Like, that's another thing I like to add, is like when you're creating content, like you mess up, put that in there. People love that. Like, again, it comes across as authentic. I see like a lot of aesthetic, like food videos and things like that. And sometimes you spill it. Leave that spill in, little things like that, because people be like, I noticed you messed that up. They like to point it out. They're going to tell you. They're going to be like, you messed this up. But that's engagement. That's, those are the things that help you go viral. So
gotcha.
Something to keep in mind.
All right. I like how this is going. So tell me, after all this time, how do you define success? What is success for you? What does that look like?
Very simple. I came to this conclusion recently, and the answer is, it's supposed to be fun.
Absolutely.
It's supposed to be fun. If you are at the absolute peak of your career, but you're miserable, I don't think that's success. I don't think that would be success for me. I am achieving everything I want, but it's leading to burnout, and I'm mentally unhealthy or anything like that. That doesn't feel like success to me. But if I don't have a penny to my name, but all of my bills are paid and my kids are eating and we're all, sitting on the couch having a good time, that's success to me. So I would love all the money and all the happiness to be at the same time, but they have to be together. So any phase of my life, if I find that I'm good, I'm content, I'm happy with the experiences that I'm having, my nervous system is regulated, I'm not sliding down the walls throwing up, I'm successful, we're doing great. We're doing great. If I can achieve that same with a really fat bank account, that's successful. It can look a million different ways from the outside, but on the inside, it's really about how it feels. Because I've looked very successful to people and been stressed out, not being able to enjoy it. So that's definitely changed my perspective on what success looks like.
Oh, yeah. There's an old saying, more money, more problems.
Man.
And so, I know we are certainly, living in that age where some people equate success and money to be equal, and that's very far from the truth. I've been around a lot of people with island buying money, and they've been miserable, families destroyed. Yeah, it's not.
Same in the same vein. I've been around people with multiple commas behind their net worth, and they do not seem like happy people. And nobody seems like they were doing a good time. Now, in the same way, I've been across quite wealthy people that have very healthy family systems. Yeah. They put the work into their spirituality, whatever it may be, and they just look like they're glowing. And I was like, it's not the money, y'all. Like, they are happy because when the problems do come up, they can pay for them to go away, but they're also in just a good space. So I think that's the key.
But it's also something on the inside, because I normally find that people that are more balanced spiritually, even if they lost everything tomorrow, they're balanced enough to go back and get it back.
Right.
Versus when it's not all together and you kind of have hit a home run and you've kind of gotten it, you're miserable, you hit a bump in the road and it's pretty much over.
Yep.
Because, you never developed those other tools and the inner things that are necessary to be able to make that climb back. So we talked about that, and you look like a happy person to me. So what is it that you love about yourself?
I would say definitely my tenacity. Listen, my happiness is hard fought. I've been in therapy, been doing everything you're supposed to do to keep your mental health in order.
Doing the work.
Learning things about myself, staying single, looking at myself in the mirror before I go bring somebody else in my foolishness. But yeah, I think I would say my tenacity. I would say it is my creative thought process, because you can literally, every problem can be solved with creativity. I am a firm believer that every problem not only has one solution, but millions that we're just not seeing, that we don't think are logical or reasonable. Like, you just don't consider it. Like, for instance, people will think, like, the only way that if my rent is due, the only way that that's going to get taken care of is if somebody gives me money. There's a million things that can happen.
Right.
Things. You could call your landlord and be like, hey, I'll fix up this place. If you take off half, I have half. They might split it up for you. There's so many solutions, but if you're not thinking creatively, you don't think about those, and then you shut yourself off to them. And I would say that I am most proud of my ability to be like, okay, what solutions do we have available to us? Right. Because it helps in so many different areas of life.
Right. Yeah, I think a big part of that is what I call processing, right? Is that, and in my real estate business, I talk to clients that get into financial trouble and they can't pay their mortgage and they face foreclosure. And I'm like, the worst thing that you can ever do is shut down. Man. There are solutions.
There are, not only are there solutions, but
there's a lot of solutions.
Almost every entrepreneur I know, if they didn't come from money, almost all of them have a repossession story, have a bankruptcy story. I don't know any entrepreneurs that started from nothing to got to the top. Right. And it wasn't like, it didn't just, it was a situation.
Even a certain presidential candidate has filed bankruptcy a few times.
Let me tell you. Sure.
And he started with the money. He started with a lot of money. Right. So it just goes to show you, but you make the deals, you work out the situations, and, you keep trotting along.
You keep trotting. Only choice you have.
So it's great to hear that. What's your philosophy on self-worth?
You can only love others to the degree in which you're willing to love yourself. So for me, I recognize that I always put myself first, and that means over everybody. I think selfishness in that regard is a crucial piece to the self-worth conversation, because you find if you overextend yourself trying to be useful to others, you end up draining your own cup and then you can't do anything with it. So it takes radical self-acceptance to be selfish enough to say, no, I'm putting my own mental health first. I'm putting all of my stuff first. I'll get to y'all when I can get to you. And you build some enemies that way. People will be like, what do you mean, no? I sacrifice all of myself. Well, that's unfortunate for you, but I don't do that. So I think that is, to me, self-worth is just radical self-acceptance and being able to say, no, so that you can take care of yourself, so that you can take care of others. And, comes with a little pushback, but
yeah. But on the plane, the flight attendant does say,
put on. I say that all the time.
The
People
flight
get so upset with me, and
say,
I'm like, I can't save you if I'm not saving me.
Right. You definitely have to secure yourself first. Yep. All right. So we got, ladies and gentlemen, we got our philosophy on that. That was self-worth. What about achievements?
I think for me, achievements are, I need my dopamine, right? So like, achievement for me is, does it feel good? Does it feel good?
Right.
And so I'll break up my achievements. I have one big goal, and then I'll break that into smaller goals that I can, be like, okay, I hit this milestone, I hit this milestone. And to me, that is achievement, to be able to achieve a set plan and actually just execute it. Now, whether or not it has the intended result, I can't be in charge of. To me, that's not the other side of achievement. Achievement is, did I execute what I intended to execute? And the answer is yes. Then we move on. We can start moving towards success, because then we have success and then achievement to me.
Right.
But achievement, then success. But again, if it don't feel good, then it's not success. So that's how they kind of hand in hand.
Well, makes sense. Makes sense. And your position on growth, your philosophical position on growth?
It's all internal. It's 100% internal. I don't think that any growth happens in comparison to other things. I think growth is such an internal process that you have to feel like, what does growth look like for me? You have to be clear about what growing is, but also recognizing that growth isn't linear. It's very difficult that, like, when you find yourself somewhere that you were 2 years ago, to not perceive it as a lack of growth, that it is, in fact, still growth, even though it feels like something you experienced in the past. So that is my biggest takeaway when it comes to reminding myself what growth is, that it is not a linear process, that it is like circular and loop-de-loops and a couple of backflips. But it's all going up in the end.
Right.
Yeah.
Man, that's a great way to put it. Great way to put it. One of the questions I love to ask is, kind of tells you a lot sometimes is because as entrepreneurs, I think one of the things that we're called on, and a lot of times what separates us, we're always one decision away from success or disaster.
When I tell you.
Right? It's man.
It's a fine line.
Yeah. We have to be right so many times. It's amazing.
I've never heard of that, but we do.
Yeah, we do.
Because you can end up exhausting so much energy and be wrong.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's a long way back after you've made that bad decision. Trust me, I speak from experience. What's one of the most difficult decisions you have ever had to make?
I would say that putting my mental health first, and putting down the hustle. So there was a time about a few years ago, my partner passed away, and society does not care. The bills don't care that you're sad. They're still due. So, and because my job was basically being creative, I don't know. It's kind of hard to be creative when you're also grieving the person you love. Right. So I found that the difficult decision I had to make was to put down the grind, put down the hustle, and prioritize my mental health over making money, which was extremely scary because savings only last but so long. I knew it would put me behind with clients. I shut down my website because I couldn't maintain it, and I didn't want to ruin the relationship I had with my customers by not coming through on my promise. So I canceled their subscriptions, which was like my lifeline. Mm-hmm. All of these things were very difficult, but I knew that if I was going to take a pause, that I couldn't ruin the reputation that I had built in the time frame. So it was worth the risk. It worked out, doing great, but that was very, very hard because it would have been so much easier for me to just kind of disassociate through everything that I was going through, put it in the back of my head, compartmentalize it, and grind through. Because I was actually making a lot of money at that time. It was quite jarring, but I think that was the best decision for me, and it helped in the long haul because I would have burned out.
Yeah,
I'd have burned out.
And it sounds like it was a good call. Right? Because we as entrepreneurs, you're as good as your last deal is what I always say, or you're as good as what you produce. And oftentimes when you're doing things that involve you're providing service or products to people, and that's the cold part of business, right? Is when you're going through your trials and tribulations, your clients, that does not matter to your clients. You have to deliver. I've been going through some things lately. It's a family medical type of thing, and I can't tell my clients, well, guess what? I have to be at the, you know what I mean?
Right.
I have to be at the hospital, blah, 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 or I have to leave town. No one wants to hear that. They want what they want, and they want it when they want it. So,
yes, they do.
Yeah. So it's very difficult, but that's, that is part of it.
Yeah, so since coming back, one of the ways I found to mitigate that is I know how quickly I can typically do something. I give myself so much buffer. Like something that may take me an hour to do, I will give my client a 2-3 week turnaround. And once you set their expectations, they're good. And like, okay, I have this amount of time to execute this task. That has been the biggest difference between me as an entrepreneur before and me as an entrepreneur now. I try to give people everything as quickly as possible, the best as I could do. I was always on call. I was always available, and that just wasn't sustainable. So now it's like I have business hours. I will not respond to you after a certain time frame. Right. I only take on a certain amount of projects per month. I will not take on more than that. And it really does keep the balance. It really does keep things in order. And I tell my clients up front when things happen. So I'm like, hey, you won't hear from me. If this is an issue, let me know ahead of time. But yeah, that communication and those time buffers have been a saving grace.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very important to, protect your mental health by having boundaries. I, at one point, didn't have any, and I pretty much would try to be of service 24/7. And I remember one time being so burnt out. This was when I was in the music industry, coming home on tour and locking myself in for like a week in darkness, just trying to kind of recuperate because that's how burnt out I felt. And, I had no more energy to give. So, I had to do that for myself. All right, so we're getting to like the little fun part of the show. Let's have some fun.
All right.
I like to ask some. I always say personal questions, and that kind of makes people go, but they're not that personal.
You know me, I don't care.
Yeah, you don't give
I don't care. Most
bleep,
of my
bleep.
stuff is already on the internet.
Yeah, you don't give a bleep, bleep, but love, loyalty, or respect.
Respect.
Why?
Because I have found that when people do not respect you is when you will be treated the absolute worst. And so people can love you and treat you like like the scum on the bottom of your shoe because they don't love themselves. Like I said, you can only love to the degree in which you're willing to love yourself, right? Loyalty, loyalty is good on paper, but what I'm gonna do with that? Again, you can be loyal and still hurt me. Right, but if you respect me, if you put me at a higher regard, then to me, that is the most valuable of them. Because love is fleeting, loyalty is good on paper. It's like, yeah, I got a road dog, but outside of that, if I'm not up to nothing nefarious and you're not going to testify against me, how far does the loyalty go? And also, I believe in loyalty, but I feel like, again, people are still inherently selfish. If it comes down to between me or you, I would hope you choose yourself because I'm going to choose me. I'm going to choose me. So I want the same
That's
for you.
Funny. That is hilarious.
So, yeah, respect.
Okay. Respect it is. All right. So, who's your favorite celebrity and why?
The funny thing is, I don't really think I have a favorite celebrity in the sense that, I don't really call myself fans of anyone simply because I just see we're all humans. You're not better or worse than me. I always say, I'm not any better than Beyonce. I'm not any better than the man on the street or any lower than Beyonce. we're all people. So there's people that I admire their online persona. I don't know them, so I can't be like, I'm a fan of you specifically. So I don't know any of the celebrities in person, but like, I'm really a fan of like Meg Thee Stallion and Glorilla's like glow up right now. I'm liking what I'm seeing on the social media lens as their friendship. But again, once you're on social media and you realize just how much of a lens and filters are put on between you and the content that you're consuming, it's just kind of like, that's just that celebrity persona. So I like, some of the personas, but I don't really dig too deep into them. I'm more impressed by the people in my life. I'm impressed by people like you, people that I've seen. I know their character. I know how they talk to people. Those are the people that I find myself fans of. So celebrities, I really can't think of one off rip. And something always comes out where they embarrass you. The second you be like, oh, I'm such a fan of so and so. Like next thing you know, they all like, yeah, I can't associate my name with none of them.
That is funny. So the ladies are certainly doing it in hip hop right now. You mentioned those two,
of course.
So if you had to choose, Meg or Glorilla, which one?
Ooh, okay. Okay. Ooh, that's challenging. It's challenging for a number of reasons because me.
Let's go to our.
When we first started hitting it off because I love for music. You in the music industry, me in hip hop. I love it. Okay, so I'm an Atlanta baby. We go. Neither this one is Memphis, the other one's Houston. So it's like.
All right, so we're gonna go 2 out of 3, right? And make it interesting. We're gonna throw ATL in there, Lotto.
Okay.
So now we got Meg, we got Lotto, and we have Glorilla.
They're like the Powerpuff Girls. I can't. What do you mean? Okay, I'm going to go with Meg, and my reasoning is Meg's overall, again, what I perceive her to be is her going to college, is her defending herself, her dealing with all of these allegations and the backlash she's gotten for defending herself. I admire that. I admire her response to it. I admire when I hear her on interviews, how she responds to things. If I was going with Flo, I would go with Glorilla because she has that aggressive, we love it. We love a turn up. We love some knuck if you buckishness, if you will. So, but as far as overall rapper, Meg, overall Flo, Glorilla. And I just think Lotto's pretty. I love her music, but she's just a vibe. So it's just Atlanta. Right. You know how we are.
Right.
You know how we are. I'm just off rip. She's just kind of a given.
Okay. Well, we're going to jump over to the male side real quick.
Again, right? Can't trust no one.
Well, this is good. This is more of a question that's been in the media. Was the right decision made for Kendrick Lamar to perform at the Super Bowl versus Lil Wayne? A lot of people feel like Wayne should get it because he's from New Orleans. Mm-hmm.
I don't think being from a place makes you inherently there's plenty of times that's not the only factor. And the reality is this year Kendrick had the biggest song. They not like us playing at the Super Bowl. We're gonna nut up, and everyone knows that. I think from a marketing perspective, Kendrick was the better option. I think from a hometown perspective, Wayne was a good option, but as far as marketability, commercial viability, Kendrick. It's a business decision. I'm a bigger fan of Lil Wayne, mind you. That's my boy. I've been here since he was a hot boy. That said, I think from a commercial perspective, that Kendrick was the better choice.
Yeah. I agree with that as well. It's amazing that other people kind of launched an argument because I'm like, hey, I am sure when the Super Bowl was in Atlanta, Luda, Lil Jon, Jermaine, they probably all felt that if it was that criteria.
And I just feel like he's one of their biggest audience, artists over the years. And I get it. I mean, I know how I am about my home city. I get it. But at the same time, it being in New Orleans doesn't automatically make him the only option available.
Right. All right, Drake, Kendrick, who won?
Kendrick. It's not a trick question. I wasn't even in the beef for the first 3 songs. I didn't even.
There's one thing I've learned about this question, especially when directed at a female. You don't know what the answer is about to be. Be like, we're not dealing with light skin love here, girls. We're talking about the battle.
I'm
Okay?
not. I mean, Drake is cool and all, but again, so my thing about Drake is I've been here since he was Jimmy off Degrassi. I watched Degrassi. I have never been able to see Drake as more than Jimmy.
Listen.
So his whole persona, like his light skin, Keith Sweat, all the sex appeal, all of that is Jimmy.
Listen. And it's even deeper than that for me. Because I first met dude on a mall tour. As I was managing another artist, and we were doing a Simon's mall tour. Mm-hmm. Where, we have like these teen acts and we go across the country showcasing them before the singles or anything comes out. You just pop up at the mall, everything, and you start. So that was how I met Guy for the first time. Right. So I am proud of him that, he's actually broken through and has the career that he has, but it's a little difficult.
Yeah, I can't grasp it. I can't. Like I love that other women find him attractive and all that good stuff. Love that for you, but to me, it came down to the lyricism. It came down to like cultural impact.
Right.
He's never escaping that song. Like They Not Like Us has now become like the West Coast anthem. It's been cemented in the cultural zeitgeist. There's no
listen internationally.
Yeah, like it is ridiculous.
You could be in clubs everywhere right now, and that comes on, and the club goes up.
All kinds. I've heard classical renditions. Like, okay, they have. We have made it's too far gone. Yeah, Kendrick won that one.
So. All right, so we're going to kind of wrap this up. I want to thank you for coming out.
Thank you for inviting me.
And there were a lot of key takeaways on this episode. She dropped a lot of gems on us. I'm hoping that, you guys were able to kind of pick some of that up. Where can listeners follow you, Tia, and explore your work?
I am at Atiyyah NaDirah on all of my social media platforms as well as my website. So that is ATIYYANADIRAH.
That's funny because I was going to say spell that.
I already know. Nobody else spell it.
So listen, thank you once again. Want to wish you the best of luck moving forward. And, the next time I see you, you better be solidly on that path to making that $1 billion.
I promise you I will be.
All righty.
All righty.
It's a wrap.